What are the 5 levels of company analysis that every consultant should know about? Hi everyone, my name is Johannes and welcome to this channel, welcome to Mastering Consulting. And on this channel I share my learnings from my current own journey in management consulting to help you to become successful in management consulting while also living a balanced life. And if you're new to this channel, then please make sure to subscribe to it, leave a thumb up and ring the bell. Just make sure that you don't miss any new video here that can help you to become more successful in management consulting. And today we have a very interesting topic. We will talk about the 5 most important levels of company analysis that you need to know as a management consultant. If we talk about projects in management consulting, we can say that in almost every project you have to do some kind of company analysis, because at the end a company hires you because they have a problem, then you as a consulting team do the analysis and at the end you propose your solution. For me personally, especially at the beginning, it was very difficult to have a kind of orientation, because I already worked in some different projects and we tackled or did different kind of analysis. At one time we really had this high level perspective where we did more like a market analysis and identify market trends. In another project we really took a look at the company's financials and really tried to increase profitability. And in a different project, for example, I was more on the organizational level and really tried to improve processes, organizational structures, and so on. And especially at the beginning, this different kind of analysis were kind of confusing for me and it all seemed to be very complex. So I was actively looking for a structure that would help me to kind of cluster the types of analysis that we do in management consulting in order to prepare better for it, in order to perform better at it. And this is what I tried to do back then. And the key for me personally was when I got stuffed on a large transformation project, because usually at those large transformation projects you really try to have this very broad 360-degree analysis of the entire company. And this really gave me a very good picture what different kind and different levels of analysis there actually are. And in this project we had 5 levels of analysis. And the first one was the analysis of the environment. So we really tried to figure out, okay, what kind of macro trends do we see, what kind of global trends are there currently, and what kind of impact does that have on the company of our client. The second level was the industry analysis. So we took a very close look at the industry, we tried to identify trends, we tried to analyze competitors, and really tried to predict, okay, what the market environment will look like in the future. Then the third level was the analysis of the company itself. So we took a look at the financial statements, we really tried to understand the product portfolio, and this helped us to really understand the current situation of the company. Fourth level was the organizational level. So we took a look at the organizational structure, we also took a look at all the processes and really tried to identify improvement potential there. And the fifth and the last level that we took a look at was the people level. And this means that we took a look at the management, at key positions. We also did a cultural assessment and really tried to figure out, okay, how do the people operate? What kind of strengths and weaknesses do we see there? And how can we improve the entire situation? And this project in those 5 categories really gave me a very good orientation what is possible in consulting. And up until now, where I'm working as a project manager, I'm still using this kind of classification for myself in order to quickly understand on what kind of level we are and also to understand what kind of consulting tools I can use in order to perform the analysis. But I would say let's take a close look at each of those 5 levels. So level number 1 is the environment level. And as I said, this is where you really try to figure out what kind of global trends do we see, what kind of macro trends do we see that impact the entire business world. And typical factors that you take a look at are, for example, political developments, environmental developments, technological developments, social developments, legal developments, or economic developments. And this is usually what you do, especially if you want to do a kind of strategy assessment. This is usually the first step. So what you usually do is that you do a lot of research, that you conduct some interviews with some experts and really try to identify what kind of macro trends there are and what kind of impact do they have on your client. And a typical framework that you use for that is the PASTEL analysis. So there are many different variations of that, but this is what you usually do. Then the second level is the industry level. And here you really try to identify, okay, how does the industry develop as a whole? What kind of trends do we see here? How does competition develop? How do we see the market power? And very typical aspects that you want to take a look at is, for example, the market size, the market growth, maybe some technological trends that you see, but also the competition. So how is the competition clustered? Do we see some new people or new players entering the market? And those are things that you typically take a look at if you do the industry analysis. And of course, there are many different tools and analysis frameworks that you can use. I think the most famous ones are Porter's 5 Forces. You also can do a kind of strategic group analysis or an industry life cycle analysis, but there are of course many more frameworks that you can use. The third level is the company level, and here you really try to understand, okay, what is the current situation of the company and what can we do to improve? And things you usually take a look at are of course the financials. So you take a look at the profit and loss statement to identify, okay, how does revenue develop? How does do the cost positions develop? And therefore, how does the profit develop? You also take a look at the cash flow statement. So how is the cash situation of the company? And of course, the balance sheet. So how do all the assets and liability develop and relate to each other? Besides that, you can also take a look at the product lines. You can take a look at the structure. You can take a look at the global footprint. So those are all things that you do in a company analysis level. And things you do to do the analysis is that you typically analyze all of the financial data that is out there. If we talk about product lines, you can do an ABC analysis, you can do a SWOT analysis. So there are again many different frameworks and analysis that you can use. And this is typically what we call the company level of analysis. And the fourth level is the organizational level. And this typically helps you to understand the results of the company analysis. So here you typically take a look at the processes, you take a look at the target operating models, you take a look at dynamics within the company to identify certain drivers that have an impact on your financials, for example. And what you typically do is that you do an analysis of all the most important processes, that you also take a look at the organizational structures, so maybe you have to change something there, or that you take a closer look at certain functions or departments within the company. So this is also possible if you want to do an organizational analysis. And then last but not least, we have the fifth level, and this is the level of people and culture. And what you usually try to figure out is, okay, what kind of impact do certain key people or the culture of the company have on the company performance? So what you can do as a consulting team is that you take a look at some key positions within the client's organization. You can do a cultural assessment, you could do a skill assessment, and all of those things really help you to understand, okay, what are the strengths and the weaknesses of an organization? Is the setup the right setup in order to achieve the company goals? Or are there any things that a client should change? So those are the 5 most important levels of analysis that you can do as a consultant. And again, I use this framework in order to have an orientation when I am in a project, but also to kind of structure my frameworks, okay? So I try to collect frameworks in each of those categories, and every time I do a project in a certain area, I try to make use of the consulting toolkit that I built over time in order to do some or to select certain analysis that are suitable for the problem that I want to solve with the consulting team. So do you see any other levels of analysis that I haven't talked about? Please write it down in the comments. Also, I'm interested what your favorite framework is. Also write this down in the comments. And if this brought value to you, then please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Also leave a thumb up, hit the bell button, and this will help you that you don't miss any new video that can help you to improve in consulting and have a successful career. So with that being said, I hope this brought value. I hope you have a very successful day and hope to talk to you soon. Goodbye, Johannes.